Hello, today we are going on this journey of embracing our beautiful imperfections, discovering the paths to self compassion and self love. You must have noticed many times we compare ourselves with others, we downplay our strengths, we criticize ourselves so much, and be very harsh to ourselves. Be very harsh to ourselves about our flaws and mistakes. But what if we accept all our flaws and mistakes, thinking that they make us human? A beautiful human with beautiful imperfections. Embracing our imperfections is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a sign of strength and it opens up door for self-compassion, self-kindness and a lot of other things. When we are being kind to ourselves, compassionate to ourselves, we create a healthy environment around us. And also we can be kind to others and attract other kind people in our lives. Before we dive deep into the topic, let me tell you my little personal story about self compassion and self love. If you know me, you know that I was in my PhD when I went through a lot of mental health struggles. I went through a lot of anxiety, depression, and I started my therapy then. As I progressed with my therapy, I understood that everything of this is rooted in my lack of self compassion and my very strong inner critic. I used to criticize myself so much. I would never do that in my life to anyone else, even if that is a person whom I don't like, right? So, what I did was I constantly compared myself with others. I noticed their strengths and my weaknesses, and then I hated myself for having those weaknesses and not having something that others are having. I wanted to win all the time. I never wanted to fail. Whenever I failed, I called myself a loser. I criticized myself. I'm sure many of you can relate to this, that inner critic, that strong critical voice that tells you very, very rude and harsh things. It took me a lot of effort, inner work, healing to change that self talk, to build that self compassion and that self love, to accept myself just the way I am with all my flaws, mistakes, failures, everything. But once I started on that journey, I wouldn't say I have reached the destination. I don't know if there is a destination like that. I feel like self love is always a journey. Once I embarked on that journey, everything became so easy. I was allowed to make mistakes, I was allowed to fail and not feel like a loser or a failure. Life definitely became much more easier, especially the moments that I spend with myself has become much easier and beautiful. So, as we start this episode, I want you to know you are not alone. There are so many of us with you who has that strong inner critic which leads to lack of self-worth, lack of self-esteem and self-love, which makes it difficult for you to accept yourself just the way you are. And I also want to tell you this inner work is not all roses. There are ups and downs, there are very difficult times where you feel like you want to give up, but it is beautiful. So open your hearts, open your minds to everything that you're going to hear, and let's embark on this journey together. Get ready to embrace all your beautiful imperfections, and let's open that path to self compassion and radiant self love. First, let's understand a little bit about self compassion and self love. Self compassion means extending that kindness, acceptance towards ourselves, even in the moments of pain, failure, or mistakes, even when you're feeling inadequate, even when you're feeling not good enough. When you extend that kindness to yourself, that is self compassion. It also involves treating yourself with just as much care that you would give to a friend in need or a person who you really love so much. Treating yourself with the same kindness and giving yourself the same kindness and support that you would give to a friend or a loved one. There are three core components to self compassion. Understanding this makes our journey to self compassion easier. So, let me tell you a little bit about that. The three components are: first is self kindness, the second is something called common humanity, and the third component is mindfulness. Let's see briefly what are these things. Self kindness, as the name suggests, means being kind to yourself and accepting all your mistakes, mess ups that you do, slip ups that you do, everything without judgment or harsh criticism. Instead, in self kindness, what you do is you offer yourself words of support, what you want to hear from others. What are those words that can bring you a little bit calm at the moment? You offer those words, you offer that compassion to yourself. You treat yourself with so much kindness. The second component, I think this is a very important component called common humanity. So, the common humanity means acknowledging that all these challenges, setbacks, failures, this is inevitable as a human experience. This is nothing. There's nothing particular to you. This means we are acknowledging that we are not alone in facing these failures, facing these challenges. Everyone goes through them at some point of time in their life. Similarly, we need to accept that even our imperfections are not limited to us. Everyone has them. Having imperfections is just human. Understanding this and seeing everything from this perspective helps us to reduce that self judgment and self criticism, thinking that I am like this. Because now we know that it is just a part of human experience and everyone has these. And the third component is mindfulness. This is also a very important component in self compassion. Mindfulness basically means being in the present moment without judging the moment. You are just sitting in the moment and you're not attached to your thoughts, you're not attached to your feelings. You are just an observer. So, this also helps a lot in reducing the self criticism. I will talk about mindfulness in detail in some other episode, but know that these three are very important components of self compassion and self love. I want to tell you a little bit about the benefits of self compassion. It's not hard to understand that when we accept ourselves, when we are in peace with who we are, it is very easy to feel happy in life, to be content and fulfilled in life, right? Here, I want to mention another phenomenal thing that happened with my client. After we explored the concept of self criticism and we together worked out how to build self compassion, and once they embarked on this journey, they told me that it has changed their lives. Now they are much more happier, they are less scared, less anxious, and even their performance at work improved. Neuroscience studies have shown that self compassion, being kind to ourselves, talking kindly to ourselves, activates the brain regions that are responsible for emotion regulation and well being. So, when we are kind to ourselves, when we are talking very kindly to ourselves, we get better at emotion handling, which again reflects in other areas of our life, like improving our relationships, doing better at all areas of life. Now, let's talk about a major contributor that affects our self compassion, that stops us from building the self love, that is perfectionism. Perfectionism is a very common mindset block that stops us from building self love, from accepting ourselves just the way we are. In perfectionism, what happens? We set very high standards from ourselves. I have to do this. It has to be, this piece of work has to be like this. So we expect too much from ourselves, and also we attach our self worth to it. That if I'm not able to do this, then I'm worthless. So, perfectionism is very, very bad for our self love and self compassion. If you have perfectionism, if you are a perfectionist, you are likely to beat yourself up too much, and you're constantly running towards achieving some perfect thing. And because of this, the fear of failure becomes too overwhelming that will stop you from taking even a step forward. Let me tell you my own story. My whole life, I attached my self worth to achievements. It might relate with you. Maybe you were a topper at school and everyone recognized you from your achievements. From then, it started becoming your identity. It happened with me. I started feeling that to feel good, I need to achieve something. If I fail, then I feel bad. I wanted to win everywhere. I wanted to be perfect everywhere. And I attached my self worth too much to it. That made me become very fearful of failures. And one day I asked myself, why am I so scared of failures? Then I got the answer from myself, because when I fail, I feel like a loser. I feel like a total failure. And my self criticism becomes too much. And there is an inner me that was not accepting that I can fail. I was becoming too critical and very harsh to myself when I was not perfect. And this stopped me from accepting myself and loving myself to build that self compassion and self love. Next, we'll move on to the most important part. How do we start this path to self compassion and how do we build the self love we want? First, know that no one is perfect. We need to get rid of perfectionism if we want to build self love. Know that everyone is imperfect. You might see someone doing better than you in something, but they will have their own weaknesses, they will have their own imperfections. No matter what your parents told you, what your teachers told you when you were in school or when you were a kid, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to meet anyone's expectations. You don't have to meet your own excess of expectation. Accept that, acknowledge that. Please start thinking from that perspective. Second way, this is a very good technique that I learned from somewhere, I don't remember where. Make a list of your strengths, okay? Write down all your strengths, no matter how big or small, even if it is a very simple thing like I'm a good listener, I can be kind to people, I don't hold grudges, or I'm very organized. Anything, every small strength, make a list of them, and also make a list of your weaknesses, your imperfections. And at the end of this list, you need to write, I accept myself with all my imperfections, with all my strengths and imperfections, I accept and love myself. I am amazing the way I am. I work towards becoming my higher self, but right now I accept and love myself just the way I am. Write this at the end and read it aloud. Whenever you feel low, whenever you feel you are inadequate, you are imperfect, do this exercise and it will make you feel much more calmer. And gradually you will accept yourself just the way you are. Next, talk to your inner child. Whenever you feel you are not loving yourself enough, when you start criticizing yourself too much, talk to your inner child. Imagine there is a child inside you and talk to her or him in a way you would talk to a child. For example, you didn't do well in an interview and you started telling yourself you're useless, right? Imagine there is a child, there is a little you or any other child you can imagine who is sad because they didn't do well in something. What would you tell them? Would you tell them you're useless? Never, right? Show the same kindness to your inner child. Here, I'll suggest one more powerful exercise. Also, write a self compassion letter to yourself. Write down what you're feeling and acknowledge that you're not alone in this. And offer those words you want to hear from others at that time to yourself. Those words of support and comfort, consoling words, offer those to yourself in this letter. Celebrate all your small wins. Sometimes you might feel it is very silly, very small. What is there to celebrate in this? But trust me, there is someone in this world who cannot do that. And every win of yours is worth celebrating. I was talking to a person on my call, okay? And I asked that person to make a list of achievements that they have done in life. I asked him to make a list of 50 achievements. And after writing 10 achievements, they were like, I don't know, I have run out of my achievements. I don't have any more achievements. And then in the beginning of the call, they were telling me how they used to take care of their whole family from a very young age. And I asked them, have you included that in your achievement list? And they were like, no, what is achievement in that? Everyone does that. But I guess I can never imagine doing that. Or I know many people who cannot do that. So don't think anything is small. Celebrate all your small and big achievements. And the next tip I want to give you is to take time out for yourself. Today I want you to go back and see how much time are you taking out for yourself? How much time you're mindfully spending with yourself and when you're not running on that autopilot mode. This time is not sitting with your phone, it is not looking at others' social media pictures, it is not watching something. It is just sitting with yourself and doing that really makes you happy. Usually, when we are in that self critical mode, we tend to engage in all unhealthy habits, unhealthy behaviors. If you're criticizing constantly that I'm useless, I'm good for nothing, I'm this, I'm that, you are more likely to scroll, binge watch, eat unhealthy food, do all of this. So it is important to break that cycle. Even though it feels difficult at that moment, take some time out and do something that really nourishes you from within and something that really makes you happy. You might feel that scrolling will make me happy or watching a good movie will make me happy. But notice this difference between instant gratification and actual happiness. These are giving you instant gratification, but not actual happiness. For me, when I'm feeling low, I really like to tidy up. I like to clean things. That makes me calm in a very weird way. Sometimes I like to move my body, just go to a different place or take a walk outside or just moving your body, right? Doing some simple stretches, just stretch your neck or shoulders. It will give you a lot of calmness. It will bring down your stress hormones and it will give you a lot of calmness. Find out some activities that will make you feel good. Try and test with different activities and see what feels good for you. And do them on a daily basis. Take some time out for yourself and do them. This doesn't only make you feel good at the moment, but it is an act that you're doing for yourself to take care of yourself. It builds self love and self compassion. And the last tip I want to give you is whenever you feel like you are not able to love yourself, you are not feeling worthy enough, ask yourself, is there anyone else in the world who's exactly like you? Exactly like you, okay? No difference. I am very sure you won't find anyone in this world who is exactly like you. So you are so unique. You have all the unique capabilities. You just need to see it. I read this somewhere. Whenever you feel worthless, when you are not able to love yourself, ask yourself, have I done anything to contribute to this world? Any small thing? Have I given some water to an animal? Have I listened to someone and lightened their burden? Have I been kind to someone? Any small way that you have contributed to this world, to the people around you, to the world around you, ask yourself. I am sure you can come up with a lot of small things that you have done for others. So, why feel worthless then? Why feel not good enough? It might be hard to grasp sometimes, but we are all worthy just the way we are. Not when we do something, not when we impress someone, not when we achieve something. We are just worthy just the way we are. It might be hard to grasp, but you need to acknowledge this. You need to trust this. You need to put this inside your head. So today, hug yourself, give that self love to yourself that you would give your loved one, your kid, or any of your friends, and celebrate yourself because you are unique. Mindset makeover starts with self love. Happy makeover.